Boni Fine served as the executive director of our congregation. And Boni gave not only of her extraordinary organizational skills to this congregation, she not only gave of her extraordinary financial administrative skills to this congregation, Boni gave of her extraordinary heart to this institution. And we are a better congregation because of that. But Boni's also a beloved member of this community. And on this Shavuot morning, it is our privilege to hear words of Torah from Boni Fine.
Yay. Hag Sameach.
Hag Sameach.
Along with a host of others, Joni Mitchell is one of my favorite poet-songwriters. She speaks to my generation, capturing both the wonder and angst of coming of age in the 60s. One of her songs, The Circle Game, speaks to this moment, and as a special treat, I won't sing it to you this morning, but the chorus goes like this. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on the carousel of time. We can't return. We can only look behind from where we came and go round and round and round in the circle game. Time has always confounded me. I've been thinking a lot about the passing of time since I retired earlier this year and turned 70 just a few weeks ago. I needed to create a new rhythm that is not determined by office routines and a new way of counting that does not rely on spreadsheets. As much as I enjoyed the freedom of retirement, I was definitely lost when it came to a structure for moving through time. No specific time to wake up, no specific time to get dressed, no specific place to be at any specific time. I either double booked myself or had an appointment listed for the wrong time or day. Calendaring became the biggest challenge of my retirement. And as for aging, I'm not so proud to admit that I was approaching my 70s kicking and screaming. It seemed like the beginning of the end. I felt guilty that I was counting my years instead of my blessings, but it didn't help me from feeling old and somehow smaller. For me, these pivotal moments when one chapter closes, as in a decade or a career, and something new begins, I feel the presence of God most profoundly in my life. Enter Shavuot. I learned that for every other holiday in the Torah, we have a specific date. But for Shavuot, the Torah says, soon after Pesach, start counting these 7 weeks. Here I found new perspective in our counting of the Omer and leading up to Shavuot that marks both the end of wandering in the desert and a new beginning in the Promised Land. I've experienced my own coming out of the wilderness, and just as for the Israelites at Sinai, time now belongs to me. Rabbi Yonatan Grossman notices an interesting connection between Shavuot and Shabbat, pointing out that both do not occur on a specific date, and both are determined by counting to 7. According to my Jewish learning, 7 is one of the greatest power numbers in Judaism, representing creation, good fortune, and blessing. Another Hebrew word for luck, mazel, equals 77. The Bible is replete with things grouped in 7s. There are 7 patriarchs and matriarchs. The land of Israel was allowed to lie fallow for 1 year and 7. The menorah has 7 branches. The appearance of the number 7 continues post-biblically with 7 wedding blessings and 7 days of mourning after the death of a close relative. My young neighbors, twin girls, made me a beautiful birthday card that included a drawing of 7 daisies and 7 daffodils for 7 decades. Through the eyes of children and the teachings and wisdom of Torah, I not only learned a new framework for marking time that did not rely on my Outlook calendar, but also gained a more optimistic connection to the number 7 as I entered my 70s. I had planned to get a dog when I retired and left it to fate and Judy Tolman to find the perfect match. I adopted Toby in January, And with him, I mark time in new ways. Aside from the regular feedings and walks during the day, weather permitting, we take long, meandering afternoon strolls where I've been admiring and photographing the spring gardens as they come into bloom. I'd never slowed down enough just to wander and explore my own neighborhood and the beautiful lakefront. I never saw all the colors or the subtle changes from day to day. I do sniff the lilac bushes, and I'm reminded of another boomer poet-songwriter, James Taylor, who wrote, "The secret of life is enjoying the passing of time." Instead of bemoaning my getting older, regretting the moments and people now gone, I do see new beginnings. I've appreciated the wonder of the changing seasons during the counting of the Omer, the freedom to explore a new rhythm to my days, and the eternal reassurance that comes every week with Shabbat and each year with Shavuot on no specific date. I've learned a couple of things in 70 years. First, how much I don't know. And second, how much I think I know depends on my perspective. And perspective is a choice. If you saw the movie Coda, it won the Academy Award for Best Picture, you may remember a very moving cover of another of Joni Mitchell's songs, Both Sides Now. With apologies to Joni, my sister septuagenarian, I've added a new chorus. I've looked at time from both sides now, from young and old, and still somehow, it's time's illusions I recall. I really don't know time at all. Chag Sameach.